everyone, Dr. Snyder here, and I'm here to answer your question, what is an IEP? So, an IEP is an individual education plan. This is a document that's unique for every student who has one. It's given to every student in special education and only to students in special education. So that means the question, does my child have an IEP and is my child in special education, have the same answer. An IEP can be given to students who have speech difficulties and need some speech-language support. An IEP might also be given to a student who has autism and might need extra supports to help them access education that way. Also, students who have learning disabilities or occupational therapy needs also get IEPs. The important thing to remember is that an IEP represents special education, and it also represents an individualized plan. Each IEP should be unique to the student it's providing services for. An IEP will look different from school to school. Sometimes they can be confusing and long and redundant, and this isn't the school's fault. There's a lot of legal information that has to go in there, and the schools have to make sure that they dot their I's and cross their T's with this. So what I would like to do is go over part of the sections that have to be in every IEP to help you understand what you'll find in the IEP, no matter what it looks like or what school it's coming from. The first section is the basic demographics and the information such as eligibility. So this are things like name, address, parent name, phone number, and it's also going to list the child's eligibility. So it will say specific learning disability or autism spectrum disorder, whatever eligibility the child has. The second part is parent input. This is a required part of every IEP. So parents, speak up and let the team know what you want. You can share anything you want during this section. You can talk about what your child is great at. You can talk about your concerns. You can talk about frustrations you might have. Anything is game in the parent input section, so make sure your voice is heard. The third section is the PLAF, which is also known as the present level. The PLAF is probably the worst acronym anyone has ever come up with, but it stands for Present Level of Academic Achievement and Functional Performance. And what that means is it's everything the student can do and can't do at that point in time. So if the student is great at reading, you'll note that in the present level. But if the student maybe is having difficulty making friends or difficulty pronouncing their L's correctly, that will also go in the present level. This is a really important section because it outlines exactly where the student's at, and it's this section that's going to help inform the rest of the IEP. Another important section in every IEP is the accommodation section. This section outlines all of the accommodations the student will receive as part of the IEP. Accommodations are things like taking a test in a different room, extended time on tests, having things read aloud for them, being able to use a visual schedule. Anything that helps support the student in the classroom is listed in this section. The goals section will outline each of the goals that the student will have in the IEP. IEP goals are really specific and meant to highlight the areas that the student is specifically working at improving. So there might be a specific goal about improving friendships with others, or a specific goal about reading so many words per minute. The important thing about these goals is that they're very specific and measurable, so the school knows if the student is making progress or not. The services section describes exactly what services the student will be receiving, such as social work, occupational therapy, speech therapy, or resource room. These services will also include the exact amount of time that the student is in each of these services. For most students, this means they're being pulled out of the classroom for part of the day, and they'll spend X amount of minutes with a person providing these services. Schools typically give a range in this section of the IEP, so you might see something like 60 to 80 minutes 1 to 2 times a day. This is done so that the schools can make sure they meet legal requirements while still allowing for some flexibility in the student's schedule. For example, if there's a field trip one day, they probably won't be pulled out for reading support, but of course we want the child to be able to go to the field trip. So that's why there's probably a range in the IEP. So that's an overview of an IEP. I hope I helped to answer some of your questions about what's in an IEP, which can be a pretty confusing document. If you have any specific questions, you can comment below and I'll be sure to answer them. Otherwise, like and subscribe to this channel for more videos that will be coming out to help answer some of the questions that we often get at Galvin Growth Group. And of course, if you have any questions or you'd like to contact one of us, head over to gallengrowthgroup.com and see the contact page. Thanks!